Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on the EssentialPhoto PiXAPRO stand. My name is Emma Finch. I'm a professional portrait photographer based in Manchester. This is Graham Currey, my business partner. He's a character model, as you can see. That's not how he dresses on a Monday normally. Sometimes. Together we are photography session days. So we run portrait events on location in unique locations around the country. We've got some business cards there, so if you're at all interested in portraiture, take a business card, come and speak to us afterwards about it. But today we are talking about fine art lighting for character portraits. So we've got the Ragged Victorian here. By the way, Graham's Instagram, if you want to follow him, is GBrodyModel. So that's where you'll find him. So if you're taking pictures later, you can tag him in them on social media. So we're using Octaboxes today. We're fine art lighting. We're going to keep it fairly straightforward, quite simple. We want the lights to look great on the camera, back of camera, without you having to do too much work to it afterwards in post. We are using PIKA200s. We use those on all our events. The reason being they're very portable. They come in a little box like this, a little case, so that you can carry them wherever you're going. They're battery powered. Battery lasts pretty much all day. They're really straightforward to use, really easy. They come with two different heads. So you've got the flash head and you've got the bulb head. We're using the bulb head today. The reason why we're using the bulb head is because you get a really nice spread of light. So the light goes in the back here. It's bouncing around the silver interior. I'll show you. So the light comes through the back. You've got two layers of diffusion. So that layer there, and then this outer layer here. What that does is it makes it a really nice, soft light. Perfect for really doing any kind of portraiture. It's always a flattering light. But today we're going to add a little bit of drama to it because we've got our character model here. And this is going to be our key light here. So key light is camera left. It's on a quarter power. This is the light which is doing most of the work. This is the light to which Graham will pose towards. And then over here we've got our fill light. So that's going to be on a 16th. So that's just a little bit of light, and that is going to fill in some of the shadows down that side. We don't want him to blend into the background. We want it to have a bit of mood and have a bit of drama, but we don't want him to blend too much. We're using the mid-brown hand-painted backdrop by PiXAPRO. What we're trying to emulate is the 17th century painters. We want it to look quite painterly. We want it to have some mood, a little bit of drama, some contrast. We want some warm tones in there. So using this sort of brown textured backdrop is perfect for those warm tones. The painters used to paint by firelight or by window light to the side, which is why we're placing our key light to the side of him. You'll notice that they are feathered across him. So rather than it being pointed directly at him, they're going across him. With it being an octabox, you get a great spread of light. So the light will come out like this. So he will get the nice soft edge of it. There'll be a little bit of light on the backdrop, but we want to keep the backdrop fairly muted, so it's not too dominant. We want Graham to really be the focus of the image. The reason why professional portrait photographers like octaboxes like this is the 100 centimeter FlatPak. So it pops up straight away, really easy, really light to carry. So if you're working on location or you haven't got a studio and you've got to store it somewhere, absolutely perfect. The reason why professional portrait photographers like an octabox, one, they're really easy to use, really soft lighting, really flattering for everybody that you're working with. And then the second reason is the catch lights. So they will give pretty much a circular catch light in the eye. And that's very natural for us because we're lit by the circle in the sky when we're outside. So the circular catch light is the sort of preferable shape of a catch light. You'll see that I've got the bottom of the octabox roughly level with his chin. So it's going up a little bit higher. What that's doing is it's giving some shadow and some definition under the jawline there. The stands that we're using are the auto stands. So if you're moving it around the studio, you don't have to start sort of you know, screwing these and things. It just comes with you as you move it. So I'm going to take a test shot. We're going to see what we're getting. So this is a 1/4 power. This one's a 16th. This is doing most of the work. The settings, I'm going to use F8. F8 because it's a studio shot. We're in control of the lights. We're not trying to diffuse the background. ISO 100, again, because we don't need to push our camera settings at all. The lights are doing all the work. And 160 on the speed. 160 is fast enough, so you're not going to get any shutter shake. But he's not doing any flying leaps or pirouettes yet. Maybe later. So as long as he stays still, then 160 is fine. I'm on auto white balance. So when we're doing fine art portraiture, we want it to have warm tones through there. Usually auto white balance is fine. If your subject is very pale and they look a little bit cool in the image, then I would go to flash white balance just to warm them up a little bit. You don't want them to look too orange though. When we're on events, we always say match skin with skin. So match the skin of the person in front of you with the back of the camera image, just to make sure you've got your white balance correct, you've got your exposure correct. So let's take a shot. I had a few issues with tethering yesterday. I've prayed to the gods of tethering last night, and I'm hoping it's going to work today. Okay, so it's a little bit shadowy. It's a little bit shadowy around the face. I'm on F8, so just to get some extra light in there, there's a couple of things we can do. Firstly, we could move the light closer to him. I'm not going to do that because it's already quite close to him. Second thing we could do is we could turn the power up on the light, and it's very easy to do with the trigger because I've got the trigger in my hand here anyway, so I can change the power of the light. But the first thing I'm going to do, because it's the easiest thing to do, is just change the aperture. So I was on 7.1. I'm going to go to, I was on F8. I'm going to go to 7.1 just to see if that makes a difference. Just chin up just a fraction, Graham. Okay, so that's much better. So you can see on the screen, his skin looks like his skin. His face is lit. I don't mind a little bit of mood sort of towards the bottom. Really, with portraiture, the most important thing is the face. We want to look straight at the face. We want to look straight in the eyes. We want to look straight into the, the character of the face. So for me, that exposure is correct. We've got enough detail in the background to be able to see those warm tones and that texture. So with this, we need to be mindful of the hat, because obviously the light is quite high. The brim of the hat we need to be mindful of. So when we're shooting, I always say on events, keep checking back of camera, particularly with hats and things like that. You want to make sure you're not getting any sort of shadows or anything like that. So let's take a few shots, and then we will show you a second lighting setup that's even easier than this one, and then we will let you take some shots yourself. I am using the Canon trigger, so it's the ST3. When you come to shoot, we've got some universal triggers. So whatever camera you've got, they're going to work on it. The beauty of using these triggers is that I can just change the power of the lights without actually having to move or to touch the lights. So it's really easy to work with. So let's take some shots. There we go. There we go. So one thing we can do with a character portrait, and I usually say when you're editing characters, you can go a bit more heavy-handed with the editing. If Graham was a beautiful woman, I would say go a bit easy with the editing, keep it flattering. With a character, you can just go a bit more. You can increase the clarity a bit. You can increase the contrast a little bit. You can make him look a bit more rugged. Are you? Ah, okay. Not today though. Yeah, you can make him look more rugged, whereas women don't want to look more rugged. So what I'm going to do now is something that I don't usually advise. I'm going to go really close to him. I'm going to distort his face a little bit with my lens, because he's a character. We can get away with that. So let me come really close really close. Chin up just a little bit more. We're just losing that light in the eyes. Going off the backdrop too. So you can see I'm really close and it's really distorting it. That's because I'm on the 24 end of my lens. If he was a beautiful woman, I would go on the longer end of my lens to keep everything nicely in proportion and keep it all very beautiful. We can do what we want with a character portrait. Let's do one more. So chin up a little bit, round this way a little bit. Bring that book up actually with the hands. Maybe actually hold the book with two hands. Oh, he needs his reading glasses for this. What's the book about, by the way? Is it poems?
The greatest photographers in the world.
Is it?
It's a short
book, yeah. Bring that book in just a little bit closer. There we go. So we're just adding some distortion to the image to create something different. So I'm going to show you a second lighting setup that's even easier than this lighting setup. We're going to go to just one light now. I just want to show you, if you don't have a studio or if you're just starting out, you don't have to buy too much kit to start with to get sort of impressive results. On our events, our fine art portraits workshops are always sold out. They are the most popular, and I think because the images look good straight out of the back of the camera, you don't have to do too much work with them. So whereas before we were feathering the light, so feathering means it's pointed across him as opposed to pointed directly at him. Now we're going to point the light directly at him. So this isn't in use, this is switched off. This is right in front of him and it's pointing down towards him. So if you've only got one light, you can do the same thing. Usually I don't advise pointing the light directly at someone because you're going to end up with a great big sort of Graham shaped shadow behind, unless we're doing film noir, that's not what we want. But because we've got it up quite high, in theory, the shadows are going to go down here. Which is fine because we're not going to see that, we're shooting upper body only. So a very easy lighting setup. If you're having to shoot maybe a white wall or a white backdrop, this one works really well because if you're a studio photographer, you know shooting white is difficult. You need two lights on the background, you need two lights on the subject. But if you've just got one light, you can do this and the shadows will go down behind. So let's take a test shot, see what we're getting. So I'm going to keep my settings exactly the same and just see what we get. I don't tend to use a light meter, I tend to just look back at camera. Usually I would set one light first, the key light, see what we're getting, have a look and see if it needs anything else. Sometimes it doesn't need a second light, sometimes it doesn't need a fill light, sometimes it does. So I would just build my lighting up that way, by eye, just looking at the back of the camera. See, I'm right by this light stand, so I'm right under the light. If I was to the side, you'd probably see a little bit of shadow at the side, but because I'm right in front of him, and the light is right in front of him, and the shadows should go right behind him, so we shouldn't see it.
Keeping the same settings?
Exactly the same settings, just so we can see what we're getting. If it's not right, we'll tweak it, but yeah, still on 7.1. So let's take a look. So, we're very dark now, and that's because I didn't change the power of the light, because this was our fill light. So this is still on the 16th. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to quarter power. So let's bring that up to quarter power. Quarter power tends to be where I'm at most of the time with my key light when I'm working in the studio. It just seems to work, particularly when you're working in a space this size. It's just enough. If you're shooting one person, it seems to be fine. So I've move this light to quarter power. Let's take another shot. Hopefully he's a little bit brighter now. Yeah, so a little bit brighter. So you can see, because we've got the light quite high, it's putting some shadow sort of around the face, a little, shadow and definition under the jawline. We've still got some mood, even though it's pointed right at him, but it's because it's pointed, because it's coming down at him. It's just adding that little bit of extra shadow and a little bit of extra mood. There we go. So that's just enough light on the background as well. It's just hitting the background enough so it's subtle, we can see the texture, but we don't want it to be overly lit because we want him to be the subject of the images. Yeah, and even with the brim of the hat, it's actually not casting any shadows on his face. So it's just a simple way to get decent lighting if you're starting out, or if you're working in a small space, or if you've only got one light or one octabox. This is our demo area. Round the back of here, we've got all the PiXAPRO people who are willing to help and advise if you're looking to buy any kit yourself, or if you're thinking about buying an octabox. If you're a portrait photographer and you've only got one light but no modifier, I would always say buy an octabox. It's the most versatile modifier that you can buy. So it's definitely worth having one in your arsenal. These ones are perfect, as I say, if you don't have a studio and you don't want to store it somewhere, it just packs down really small, very light and portable. So, what time is it? I think I will let you shoot. We don't have too long. Dominica, how long do we have for shooting? Oh, 10 minutes. So a couple of shots each. I'm going to leave this lighting setup the same. So just to remind you of the settings. So I'm on 7.1. I'm on ISO 100. I'm on 160 speed. I'm on auto white balance for now. All cameras are different though, so just use that as a guide. You may find that you have to change a stop one way or the other. I will get our universal triggers, which should work on any camera that you've got. And just to remind you, we are Photography Session Days. I'm Emma Finch. This is Graham Currey. Thank you for listening, and I will get you shooting.